takes my tip and he takes a taxi home. And the taxi driver takes the fare and puts some gas in his taxi cab. Well, my dollar had the velocity of 3. $1 supported $3 of goods and services, the tip, the taxi ride, and the gasoline. But what if I'm isolated from the world and just stay home and watch television? What if I don't spend a penny? That money has 0 velocity. That is exactly what's happening right now. Restaurants are closed. Movie theaters are shut down. Cruise lines are ported. Even Disney World is closed. So no, printing money won't help this time. There's only one potential solution to this crisis. The only way to prevent a depression from happening is for us to develop a vaccine and beat the coronavirus at the source. But that could take months. Here's why. There's some evidence this coronavirus isn't just some random virus. According to some scientific sources, it's a biological weapon that accidentally escaped a lab in Wuhan, China. This isn't some crazy conspiracy theory, as some of the clueless mainstream media have reported. J.C., a neurobiology research assistant professor from the University of Pittsburgh, indicates the circumstantial evidence surrounding what we have done in the last, let's say, 20 years with viral research suggests this is a laboratory virus. It is likely an engineered laboratory virus. I really hope he's wrong, because if this really is a biological weapon, it won't be easy to find a vaccine. Unfortunately, sources close to the matter are starting to confirm this dangerous virus leaked from a lab in China. Dr. Francis Boyle, an expert on biowarfare, recently said, "The coronavirus that we're dealing with here is an offensive biological warfare weapon. There have been previous reports of problems with Wuhan's Institute of Virology and things leaking out of it. To be clear, I'm not saying the Chinese did this on purpose. It just takes minor negligence from a lab worker, and boom, the virus could be out in the world. Is it really hard to think that could have happened in China, a country known for its low safety standards? That's probably why Annalise Wilder-Smith, a professor of emerging infectious diseases, said, like most vaccinologists, I don't think this vaccine will be ready before 18 months. Think about it. Without a vaccine, our economy could be in lockdown for longer than anyone thinks. As Bill Gates told President Trump during a recent call, it's tough to tell people to keep going to restaurants, go buy new houses, ignore that pile of bodies over there in the corner. That's why Harvard University professor James Stock, who's a member of the National Bureau of Economic Research, said this: unless this virus miraculously disappears from the population over the course of the next few months, it is a reasonable scenario that we might be in this lockdown setting for quite a while, measured in quarters. Even the Pentagon is preparing for a long battle. Check out this headline. Pentagon sees coronavirus lasting several months. Can you see now how there's no way out of this difficult situation? Either the government lets everyone go back to a normal life, triggering an explosion in new cases and potentially millions of deaths, or we'll be in lockdown for weeks and even months, which will most certainly trigger another Great Depression. So what can you do? To protect your family, I would suggest stocking up on essentials, just like I've done. Make sure you have enough water, basic food, and toiletries to last at least 3 months. I currently own a small lot of property in the mountains of New England, where I have dug 3 wells, planted abundant gardens, and built a significant greenhouse. I have also installed the largest non-commercial solar power system in New England. Suffice to say, I will not be dependent on anyone to take care of me or my family. Again, if you don't remember anything I say, remember this: you can't count on the United States government to save you during this next Great Depression. Their own official document preparing for the worst-case scenario has already confirmed this, saying state and local governments, as well as critical infrastructure and communications channels, will be stressed and potentially less reliable. That's why I recommend you immediately take these 5 steps to keep your loved ones safe and protect and even grow your wealth in the coming months. Let's get right into it. Step 1. Buy what Goldman Sachs called the currency of last resort. As I mentioned earlier, the Fed is already planning to inject $1.5 trillion into the economy, and I know exactly what will be their playbook, because I'm no stranger to the Fed. I've even had a private conversation with former Fed Chief Ben Bernanke a few years back, as you can see in this pic. Forbes even wrote this article about me at that time. Private convo with Bernanke gives best-selling author Jim Rickards clues to deciphering the Fed. It's pretty safe to say the Fed will print loads of cash to try to boost the economy. In fact, they've just shamelessly admitted they'll throw the kitchen sink at this pandemic crisis. Check out this headline. The Fed goes all in with unlimited bond buying plan. In other words, they will print as much money as possible to help the markets. Like I said before, this won't work because we don't have the velocity of money. It's much more likely we'll see deflation in the short term. But in the long term, all this government debt money printing could lead to hyperinflation. That's why I recommend you have 10% of your assets in physical gold as a hedge against complete collapse of the currency. And it's why Goldman Sachs just issued this urgent note to its clients telling them to load up on gold. Their report went on to say, "We have long argued that gold is the currency of last resort, acting as a hedge against currency debasement when policymakers act to accommodate shocks such as the one being experienced now. Just look what happened in 2008 when the Fed started printing money to boost the economy. The yellow metal exploded in the coming months and years, and that's exactly what I expect this time. Only this time I expect gold to start an historical run towards $10,000 an ounce. The gold rush has already started. As Schwartz reported recently, investors are piling into safe havens on coronavirus fears. Some of the richest investors in the world are piling into gold already. Billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones says, "Gold will be the antidote for people with equity portfolios." Real estate titan and billionaire Sam Zell said that he bought gold for the first time in his life as a good hedge. Investor Ray Dalio, with a net worth of $18.7 billion, recently said he's bullish on gold, predicting the metal to be a major investment asset ahead of a paradigm shift within global markets. If the wealthiest investors in the world are buying gold to protect themselves, I believe we should as well. These are some of the savviest investors in the world, and they're all buying gold. I recommend you do the same and have 10% of your wealth in physical gold. I personally invested more than $1 million in gold miners and gold-related holdings to protect myself and my family from a financial disaster. Unfortunately, most people don't know what's the right way to invest in gold. That's why I'd like to send you my book to help you prepare. It's called The New Case for Gold. Inside, you'll discover why I trust only a handful of online gold bullion dealers and why most American investors have no idea these trusted, long-standing sources exist. The super secret portable asset that's just as good as gold is storing value. Rich families have used it for centuries, and billionaires like Bill Gates and hedge fund giant Steve Cohen have used it